Richardson Hitchins versus George Kambosos Jr. went exactly how it's supposed to go. Stopped him in the 8th round, I think. And to be fair to you, he was controlling the fight from the beginning to end, was Richardson Hitchins. George Kambosos Jr., very limited and a lot smaller than Richardson Hitchins. This was a gimme fight, in my opinion. Hurt him with a body shot in the 4th round. And then George, being the warrior he is, he carried on and fought through and still tried to carry on and go through whatever gears he could go through until the 8th round, where he was eventually stopped with a body shot. Straight after the fight, Richardson Hitchins calls out Devin Haney. Teofimo Lopez is also in the ring and he's saying, you can get it too, you can get it too. Also, he's gone on to start talking about going up to 147 again. Maybe he has outgrown the weight. He did say this a few years ago when he was mandatory for Subriel Matias, but I believe that he was more shook off Subriel Matias than anything else, because as soon as Subriel Matias lost, he then jumped back on the bandwagon of trying to get that belt because he was always in the number 1 position. He's eventually got the belt and now he's defended it once. And I believe he'll vacate it and go upstairs, to be fair, to 147, because at the end of the day, Subriel Matias is fighting Alberto Puello for the WBC. Teofimo Lopez is the WBO. And then you also have Gary Antoine Russell, who is the WBA champion. He's not calling out any of these guys. Apart from Teofimo Lopez, he's making noises about he wants to fight Teofimo Lopez. But Alberto Puello fighting Subriel Matias has got him shook again, because he believes, in my opinion, he thinks that Subriel Matias is probably going to win and want to unify with him, because he wanted to fight Richardson Hitchins from before, to be fair to you. Gary Antoine Russell is a bit of an outsider because he's with the PBC, so no one's actually trying to make a fight with him. But he should really be pushing for this fight himself. As I said though, I do believe Richardson Hitchins is going to go upstairs and go and fight Devin Haney. Talking about he's a free agent rubbed Eddie Hearn the wrong way, because Eddie Hearn saved this guy from obscurity. He was doing nothing and spiraling into a nobody cares about you, nobody knows you type in place when he was with Mayweather Promotions. Eddie Hearn has put a lot of money into his situation and not got any return, and now this guy's talking about he's a free agent. It's only because Eddie Hearn works with these fighters on a more of a fight-by-fight basis than putting them on a contract where they have to have 4 or 5 fights. He works with these boxers and helps them out. But really and truly, he better stay his backside with Eddie Hearn, or he is going to never get paid again. He will not get paid again, and I mean paid in the way that he wants to get paid, because he was in a small room and nobody really knows him. No one cares about him in America. No one cares about him in New York, where he's from. George Kambosos is a slight name and they were still in a small room. He will not generate the necessary fanfare and the necessary acclaim to get him to where he is a name, where people want to see him fight. I believe that him versus Devin Haney is a terrible fight, because they're both pure boxers, and that is what Turkey Al Sheikh is talking about when he's talking about cat and mouse. But these two will be more like mouse and mouse, because they both run. It will be very much a bore fest of feints and twitches and movement. They're going to look like they're waltzing. It's going to look like they're doing a dance in the ring, more so than fighting. So that's a terrible fight to make. It would be great for him to unify with one of these other champions, but that's not going to happen. It don't seem like. We'll watch this space, even though I'm not really interested, because Richardson Hitchins doesn't seem to be on a warrior path. He is of a Mayweather school of thought, but they are not of the early Mayweather Pretty Boy Floyd train of thought. They're of the Money Mayweather train of thought, thinking, oh, free agency is the way forward, and also thinking, I will stay at the outside. He only pushed the action with George Kambosos Jr. because George Kambosos Jr. is smaller than him, so he didn't feel the threat. And when he did feel a few shots from George Kambosos Jr., he realized that the power's not really there to affect him, so therefore he started to move forward. In the first 2-3 rounds, he was dancing around the ring like a pure boxer does, and it did come across like it was going to be a boring fight, but he then caught him with that body shot in the 4th round and realized, yes, you're hurt, so I can now step up the pace, which he then did and stopped him 4 rounds later. This will not happen again. especially at 147 when he fights the top guys at these weight classes. He will definitely be dancing around the ring like a pure boxer does, and it will be back to the cat and mouse. But as I said, if he fights Devin Haney, it will be mouse and mouse. Boring, but we'll see what happens in the future. Well done to you. I don't even know if I should say well done, because this is what you're supposed to do. I'm going to say it like how my brethren says it. You're supposed to do this, Ruben. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to stop this guy. There was no way this guy was supposed to see the last round or the last bell. You were supposed to stop him. So, well done in the sense of that you've done what you're supposed to do. But I wasn't that impressed per se. Nah, I weren't impressed, because as I said, George Kambosos Jr. is very limited in what he can do and his capabilities. He's just a strong, tough cookie, tough as old boots. But anyway, he moves on, and let's see what goes on going forward. I don't know if Eddie Hearn's going to work with him again. He probably will, because Eddie Hearn doesn't really take things personal, even though it does seem like this thing where Richardson Hitchins at the end of the fight in the ring said, "I'm a free agent." I don't think that rubbed Eddie Hearn the right way. I think it rubbed him the wrong way, and now he's kind of like, not best pleased with Donny. So we'll see what Eddie Hearn does with Donny going forward, and I will see you guys in the next video.